It's time for another hieroglyph. So what was this one and how was it used in ancient Egyptian? That's what we'll get into in just a moment. Welcome to Voices of Ancient Egypt. If you're new here, I'd love it if you click subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss future videos like this one. All right, so what is this one? Well, as you might have already figured out, it's a jar of some sort, right? This is actually specifically what we call a beer jar. In other words, a kind of pottery jar that beer was stored in. And as you might guess, it could function as a determinative in words related to pots in general or to beer in particular. And if you're not familiar with what a determinative is, I recommend you pick up my free half-hour hieroglyphs guide, which I'll link in the description. All right, so what are some other ways that this jar could be used? In addition to being a determinative, it could also, like the one that we saw for bread last time, could be an ideogram for the word for beer as well. And you'll see this very often in the offering formula. I mentioned last time that bread and beer are your most basic offerings in the offering formula. And I'd be hard pressed to say if you could ever find an offering formula that doesn't have these in it. Might be possible. Don't think I've actually seen one. Bread and beer are the most common ones you will always see, and they were the most common staples of things people ate in ancient Egypt, and that's why they are at the top of the offering list as well. So, but in addition to this, there is another use for this jar as well. It can also spell out the word, or be the ideogram for, rather, the word wedpu. Totally different sounds here, of course, than henket, the word for beer. Wedpu is a different word that means a kind of cupbearer or butler, you could say, somebody who brings you drinks and or food in ancient Egypt. And you'll see people with this title, sometimes fully spelled out, but more often just with the jar and maybe a couple of other hieroglyphs to complement it. And you'll see them oftentimes on tomb walls and on stelae as people who do bring these items to the person who owns that stela or is buried in that tomb, because they would have been probably part of their larger household. All right, I'll see you in the next video.